Welcome to the PodQast, where we dive deep into the world of best-selling books. Each week, we explore the latest hits and timeless favorites that are captivating readers everywhere. Join us as we unpack the stories, themes, and characters that make these books unput-downable. Whether you're looking for your next great read or curious about what everyone's talking about, you're in the right place. So grab your coffee, settle in. This is the PodQast, powered by OnCue New Media.
Okay, so get ready to dive into a world of, well, summer romance and second chances. Maybe even a tear or two, because today we are taking a deep dive into, that's right, Nicholas Sparks's The Notebook.
A story that just seems to, keep on resonating with readers even after all these years.
Yeah, exactly. And to really get why, I think, we have to go straight to the source, right? To the novel itself. We're going to unpack all those emotionally charged sentences and those vivid descriptions that just, I don't know about you, but they really pull me right into Noah and Allie's world.
Yeah, it's definitely more than just a simple love story. The Notebook, it has this depth, a sort of bittersweet quality that I think often catches people off guard.
Right, totally. So, okay, picture this, right? Noah Calhoun, he's back in his hometown, New Bern, North Carolina. And he is pouring his heart and soul into fixing up this old, rundown plantation house. It's almost like he's trying to rebuild more than just a house. You know what I mean?
There's definitely a sense of longing there, like a connection to the past that he can't quite shake.
Right, exactly. And every chipped paint, every creaky floorboard, it's like they're whispering the name Allie. And the way Sparks describes New Bern, it's like, you can practically smell the salt air, hear those cicadas. But for Noah, it's more than just a setting. It's like it's completely flooded with memories.
Yeah, and there's this one line that I think really gets at that. Just a second. He had grown up in New Bern, but when he thought about New Bern, he seemed to remember only the last summer, the summer they were together. So it's almost as if Allie has become completely intertwined with his experience of his hometown.
It's like she's a ghost, just kind of haunting every corner of New Bern. And speaking of ghosts, can you imagine Noah's surprise when Allie, who's now engaged, by the way, just shows up at his doorstep? Talk about a blast from the past, right?
Yeah. It's more than just surprise, don't you think? Remember how he reacts? He hadn't said anything, his muscles seemed frozen, and for a second she thought he didn't recognize her. This is a man who's totally grappling with a past that, he probably thought was long gone,
Yeah, he's got to be thinking, is this real? Am I dreaming? But I think what gets me is how quickly those feelings just come rushing back for Noah. And it's not just for the memory of Allie, but for the woman standing right there in front of him.
And it really makes you wonder, can we ever really fall back in love with someone after all those years, after life has, changed both of you?
Yeah, some big questions there. But before we go too deep, let's talk about those early moments when they reconnect. Like that first evening they spend together, Noah makes this simple meal, just crabs, and they fall into those easy rhythms of conversation they had. It's like you can practically feel the spark between them reigniting.
Definitely. There's a change happening. And Sparks, he does such a good job of capturing it. When Allie's thinking to herself and she says she drank another glass of wine, enjoying his company more and more. She felt something twitch inside, something deep and old, something that made her dizzy for just a second. And that twitch, man, that says it all.
Yeah, totally. It's like a door creaking open after being, closed for years. And it's not just the shared meal, but that shared love of poetry that starts to close that distance between them. It's like words become so powerful.
For sure. They become this way to express those feelings that are, I don't know, hard to put into words sometimes.
And you know what I find interesting? The way Sparks, he uses nature as like a mirror to what's going on inside Noah and Allie. Think about that scene. They're out canoeing and all of a sudden they come across this whole flock of swans, but they're miles from where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, swans that are, like you said, way off course. That's quite an image.
Totally. It feels symbolic, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And Noah, he even picks up on it. He says, they're driven by instinct, and this isn't their place. They'll find their way back, though. So it's like Noah and Allie, even these swans, are drawn back to what they know, even if it means going against their, natural instincts.
Wow, I never thought of it like that. But here's the thing. Just as Noah and Allie are starting to believe that, Yeah, maybe they can return like those swans. We're hit with this total bombshell, Noah's letters. Years and years of letters that Allie never got.
Years of, well, everything he wanted to say to her just silenced all those hopes, those dreams. It changes everything.
Oh, man, it's heartbreaking, you know? All those words he never sent, all that, just longing. And then Allie says, I didn't know, she finally said quietly. And he knew it must have been her mother, checking the mail, removing the letters without her knowledge. Man, it just gets me every time.
Really makes you think about fate, doesn't it? Like, what if she had gotten those letters? Would things have been different for them? Instead, here they are, finally back together, but there's all this weight of everything unsaid between them.
Yeah, and then just when you think things couldn't get any more intense, bam, a storm hits.
Right.
Like the universe is reflecting all that inner turmoil in Noah and Allie.
That storm, it's such a classic move, isn't it? Using something outside to show what's happening on the inside. And right in the middle of all that thunder and rain, Allie just comes out and says it. She says, I think I loved you more that summer than I ever loved anyone.
Wow, talk about a loaded statement, right? What do you make of that? It's like she's saying, yeah, what we had was real, but also she's trying to figure out where things stand now, right?
Totally. It's like she's telling him, what we had, Noah, it was powerful, it was real, but there's this whole other life she's built now with someone else. It's that feeling of being caught between two worlds, you know? I think we've all felt that pull in some way.
Oh, for sure. And Sparks could have made it easy on everyone, given us that fairy tale ending. But the Notebook, it doesn't shy away from how complicated life can be, does it?
Not one bit. And I think that's one of the things that makes it so powerful, so real. Sparks, he's not afraid to show the raw, the messy parts of love. And he makes us really think about that idea that, well, sometimes there aren't any easy answers. He makes us question those romantic ideals we all have, but, you know, without completely crushing them.
Yeah, it reminds us that even with time, even when we build these lives with other people, some loves, they stay with us, you know?
Like a part of them is woven into who we become, even years later. And as we keep going with the Notebook, we see how those memories, they shape the choices they make, how they see themselves, and in the end, the path they take.
It really makes you wonder, can you ever outrun your first love? Or does it always hold this, I don't know, this power over you?
It's a question people have been asking forever, isn't it? That feeling of longing, those what-ifs that pop into your head even after all these years. And I think the Notebook gives a voice to those feelings, you know, in a way that's both beautiful and kind of, wow, kind of heartbreaking.
It makes you look at those feelings in yourself, doesn't it? Haven't we all had a love that, for whatever reason, didn't work out?
I'd say so. And this book, it doesn't give you any easy answers or try to wrap things up neatly. It just shows us these characters, flaws and all, just trying to figure things out. And it asks us to connect with that, with their struggles, to maybe see a bit of ourselves in their story.
It's like this story that makes you ask these big questions about love, about fate, about the choices we make. And as we get to the end of our little deep dive here, it makes me think, would I be brave enough to go for that second chance? Or would I just let the past be the past?
And that's the best part of doing this, isn't it? It's not just about picking apart the story. It's about finding those deeper themes, those things we all experience that we connect to, that stick with us.
It really is, isn't it? It makes you realize that the Notebook, it's not just about, you know, hearts and flowers. It's about those moments in life where you take one path and you can't help but wonder, what if I had gone a different way?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And I think what really gets me is how it makes you question this whole idea of love. Is it that one true love kind of thing? Yeah. Or can it be rekindled? You know, can it change over time? The Notebook, it really makes you wrestle with that.
I mean, isn't that something we all think about? Like, what is love, really? I'm not sure there's always a clear answer.
Right. And Sparks, he doesn't shy away from showing us that love, it's not always, you know, sunshine and roses. There's heartbreak, there's sacrifice, this incredible power it has over us.
Which is why I think it just hits home for so many people. It's about a love that it defies time, you know, circumstances. It's the kind of love that stays with you even after you've finished the book.
You know, as we wrap up our deep dive into the Notebook, I keep coming back to this one question. What makes a love story? Is it all about that happy ending? Or is it more about how intense the feelings are, how deep the connection goes, those memories that, like, stick with you no matter what?
Man, that's a good question. Makes you want to go back and read it again, doesn't it? Maybe there are things you missed the first time around.
See, that's what I love about these deep dives.
Yeah.
It's not just about, retelling the story. It's about seeing things in a new light, finding new meanings, and really digging into what it means to be human.
And as you dive into the notebook, maybe for the first time, maybe you're revisiting it, think about this. What does the story tell us about memory? About the ups and downs of love? And is there really such a thing as a second chance?
Because when it comes down to it, the notebook, it's more than just a love story, It's about life, about the paths we choose, the choices we make, and those connections we make along the way that stay with us.
Join us again next time here at the podcast, where we dive deep into the world of best-selling books. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for future podcast notification. This is the podcast, powered by OnCue New Media.